Doors are
Meet 'em
open.
now. What's that?
Doors are open now. Schedule closed too early. So I fixed the schedule. They're open till like 10:30 tonight now. If they lock again, then I'm gonna be really mad.
Hopefully we're not here till 10:30.
I hope not.
Dennis?
His report's there.
My report's there.
Yeah, but it wasn't online.
I apologize. I put it,
there today, is there?
Today
so
was.
it was today.
It was
He
not
probably
today,
did
it was
3
not
days
today.
ago.
I read it today, dude.
I didn't see it.
We're
now being.
So I found out it wasn't there.
Oh.
I went in and attached it. Now that I realize I have access to this stuff, I don't make them do it. So I went in and attached it earlier, like on Monday. Apparently I didn't hit save right, because it wasn't there. So in our admin meeting yesterday, it was yesterday morning, I said to him, I'm like, she's like, I still haven't got your word for it. I said, I put it on there. And I figured out it didn't work. So it's there now, I apologize. All right, well, it's all yours, sir.
No, go for it.
All right. We'll start. We don't have a student spotlight tonight. The main reason why was with the Puka meeting afterwards wanted to engage in that meeting, so we didn't want to be too long in this meeting with what's going on. But I do encourage you all, when you leave, to drive around back, see what we got going on back there. We have 15 pieces of equipment, or there will be 15 in the long run. Maybe there's only 10 back there now. We'll have some field trips tomorrow. We have 4 different school groups coming tomorrow, and our students will engage in it tomorrow. And then Saturday we have the festival, right, where there's anybody can come out and see it. And it's fully get in, move it around, with the operator. You're going to move levers and stuff. That's the idea behind it. It's kind of neat to have all that here for our kids to engage in. Our kids were excited. We also, with the festival on Saturday, we're going to have some fun things. We got an obstacle course that our Officer Yaney's kind of put together with our construction and facility maintenance kids over there. The kids can run around on. We'll have some water balloon launchers that we made to have fun with. And then we got like our different groups selling some food. And then there'll be the heavy metal rodeo starting at 10 a.m. where there's 3 different events that all the professional operators compete in. One's a paint and sip where they're going to paint on glass, ECTS, and they're going to dig a hole and stack it as high as they can in a 3-minute time. And then the third one is, I'm drawing a blank. I'm looking for Frank because we set him up. The bottle. They're going to stack a bunch of bottles on a piece of wood as fast as they can. So it's kind of like fine motor skills with the things. And then the qualifiers will move on to the championship thing, which is an obstacle course where they do a whole bunch of other things, basketballs and balls and buckets of water and stuff like that. So that should be fun on Saturday. We're hoping there's a good turnout. Kids, meanwhile, there's those 3 equipment will be doing all those competitions. The other 12 can be up in, crawl around on, and move the levers. So
Did you let the news media know?
yes, the news media knows. Emily Yoakum from Shivers, she was kind of our main planning partner. It was her idea to make this thing happen. She did a news interview a week ago or so, and then there'll be people here that are going to do video and interview on Saturday as well. So
If there's a way to get a call tomorrow to the 2 stations, get them here tomorrow with something's happening to talk about Saturday. Because if you do it Saturday, it's too late for people that don't know.
that's actually good.
It's a good deal. It's nice to have some activity happening. They like this.
My buddy's completing that Saturday.
Oh, is he?
Works for Shades.
Okay.
But they did have a scan on the bottom.
We did send out a press release
yeah.
to all 7 different media outlets as well. So, but yeah, maybe we could call and see, if you got a great group, call off morning and see it. That'd be great.
Tell them what time to do it, especially during the day there.
So we're excited. I think a lot of our kids are excited. Some of our staff are excited. Not all of them. Some of our staff are like, it's another thing. Matt's doing another thing. But yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So hopefully it'll be a good event this weekend. And you're going to be here. Are you competing?
I'm there.
All right. So Mike, if you want to pull up my, Julie and my bullet board report, or joint report there. So again, I apologize. I thought I had loaded it up and put it on there, and it was missing. We postponed the golf outing. Basically, we only had about 10 teams. We didn't get it out on social media quite the way we wanted to get it out, so we decided to postpone it. We already had the date of Monday, June 16th as our second outing, so we'll hold it then. We did have about $2,500 in sponsorship for hole sponsors and stuff like that, so that was good. I talked to those people, they're all like, yeah, just keep it till June, we're good. So we'll run that in June. So that is gonna happen Monday, June 16th. Apologize, that just didn't come together. We already talked about Dare's numbers. Pretty excited tonight. After this meeting, you're all invited to stay. We're gonna, at 7:30, have their meeting next door, and there'll be some people zooming in as well to that meeting. EC3 will be here. One other career tech school director will be zooming into that meeting, just to talk about how heavy equipment operators in the industry, heavy equipment construction, can support CTE as well as vice versa to go forth. And of course, I know we've talked to the superintendents about new programs, right? What's the next program? We've added space, it's not filled, like what's the next program? Heavy equipment is on that short list, right? And you know, the hard part about heavy equipment is the cost of the equipment. But, I do think that would be a strong program here. I think there would be student interest. I think the industry could use people. You know, look at Mark. You need people. Everybody does, right? We're along the I-90, corridor here that between Buffalo and Cleveland and here. There's tons of heavy highway construction going on. There's tons of building, house and building and stuff like that going on, and they need people to be able to run that stuff. So that's one of the quick pieces, one of the programs we're looking at. And we had talked last year about it, so we're putting out a survey to middle school kids on different programs. We're gonna put out a survey with our alumni and kind of look at where we're at. We'll probably bring that to you guys next meeting, in October. So here's kind of where we felt we might land. Here's what we're thinking about. My long 5-year plan would be to have 2 more programs. Between the new space we have here and half of the building over there, we can put programs in. I think we could have 3 more programs in 5 years in the space that we already have. We're working on that 10-year lease with EC3. It's kind of moving forward. I'm probably going to bring that to you guys next month or the following month, where they are going to then take over that building, half of it. They'll take over the office areas. They're going to then go after grant funding. It'll be a 10-year lease, renewable with 3 5-year terms, because in order to go after grant money through PD and stuff, they need that kind of 20-year commitment. And then hopefully between that investment and some investment on our behalf, we'll be able to then get that building, renovated in a much better way than it currently is. So that's kind of the plans on where we go when we talk that expansion. We talk that other building. That's where we're headed at this point. In case anybody's got any thoughts there, just give me a buzz call and we can continue to talk about that. We're working on that 10-year lease and it'll be coming. I know Tim did some work on that for me and sent it back to me. We met with EC3 in the last couple of weeks. So. Earlier this week, we had our advanced training day. We had over 35 of our industry partners here. It was a great day. Julie's back. Julie, you want to talk anything about advanced training day?
So Advanced Training Day is an annual event for us. Mary Folkrod hosts it and she does a beautiful job. So we filled up the LGI with over 35 vendors. We had folks from the military, post-secondary education, and then general employers, and all of our students came through. They had some activities where they had to engage with the presenters and things like that. Of course, they just loved getting the goodies, but it was a nice opportunity for them to talk about career options and make those connections. So positive feedback from both the students and the vendors. but we really like having those opportunities and getting them done earlier in the year, so the students have time to act on those relationships that they build.
Even though we really focus on seniors and making sure they got a plan, we're still talking with sophomores, making sure they know their options as they formulate their plans as well, so.
You send everybody through, what did that look like?
It's actually, it sounds chaotic when you say you send everybody through, but we really do a nice job. All of the programs have a set time frame, their instructors bring them in, and we've got an outer circle of tables and an inner circle, and they go around and they engage with a variety of vendors, and then once their time is up, their instructor takes them back and a new group comes in. So it's a busy day for our guests.
It's usually about 3 programs, so 72 students every half hour coming through. And then, over 6 time slots, you get 19 programs.
Yeah, vendors will like that because you're sending everybody through. It's not,
Right.
if you have interest.
Correct.
No, because we have like Slippery Rock, Edinburgh, Penn West, whatever, they're all here. So even if you're in graphic media and don't engage with the unions,
Yeah.
you're engaging with, those schools and so forth. Gannon was here, Barron, and whatnot. So. You want to take the next one too, Walk for Wishes?
Absolutely. So Walk for Wishes is also an annual event at ECTS. We have our kickoff on Monday, where we just educate all of the students what our goal is, and that is essentially just to raise as much money as we can for the local Make-A-Wish Foundation. Last year we raised just over $8,000, so typically our goal is to beat what we made last year. And so we ask students for donations and to go out and get donations. And then we celebrate at the end of the month with our Walk for Wishes event where we take them outside, hope for nice weather, and the students can walk in a circle if they want. Most of them take it as a social opportunity. They'll talk to their peers, dance, things like that. So we're excited to do this, and we always are able to give a nice donation to the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
You can take the next 3, actually.
All right, I'm just gonna keep on going. Our community open house, this is something that we have not done before, at least not at my time at ECTS. We hear that a lot of folks are really excited to check out the new building. Whether they were here prior to the renovation or not since they were alumni or came through as a visitor, what have you, we wanted to finally give folks that opportunity. The open house that we have in November is geared towards our prospective students, but we really want to gear this towards the general community, our alumni, folks of that nature, so they can just come in, ask questions, and check out the space. We are kicking off our alumni association. We've got a committee here at the school, so we're excited to hopefully get some folks signed up and then continue to build with networking opportunities and fundraising events for the foundation. So that is next Wednesday from 7 to 8:30. And then we also have our ECTS OAC meetings. That's our Occupational Advisory Committee. We have these twice a year, and it is our tradition that we do a luncheon for Columbus Day. So that's coming up very soon, and that's just a great opportunity for our educators to meet with industry professionals. They share the curriculum, the lab space, and then it's a how are we doing? What could we be doing better? Are there things that we really need to focus on because they're hot in the field? And so it's a great learning opportunity, great for scheduling some field trips, guest speakers, maybe some co-op connections. So it really is a really nice networking experience for everyone. Is that all? Did I skip the blood drive or did I talk about that? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was excited about the open house. Our blood drive, we do those, it varies, usually 3 to 5 times a year. So one of our staff members organizes it and then utilizes students from the health and sports therapy programs to run the event, recruit and get students and staff signed up to participate. So we like giving back to the community in that way. And we're usually pretty busy in here. So we get a lot of blood donated and we appreciate that.
All right, and then we keep going, Mike, we can go down to showcase tours. So our student showcase tours, our 9th graders come through there early in November. Kind of ramps up big time our application process. So they'll come through, they'll tour the building, they pick a couple labs really to focus on and see. And then they can always schedule another visit that's a little more in depth if, individual visits after that. We have our open house then on November 21st. And, prospective new students and their parents can really come in and spend a little more time with the instructors, where the instructors, when they're doing the tours originally, the instructors have students and they're talking. So then our priority enrollment applications are due by December 15th, and we roll into the next class of students. We then take that, evaluate stuff like that over the next month. The teachers all evaluate all the applications, and then usually by the end of January, we're then giving out, we've made decisions, sending schools. We get a little bit of more back and forth with our sending schools there late January, February, and then by February 15th, we then notify our first round of enrollment. So that's that. Staff-wise, we're getting close. Computer networking, Mike scared the last one away. We thought we had somebody, but Mike scared her away. So we were going into a third round interview, and she withdrew from the program. However, we did get another application in, so we're going to interview him on Monday. So keep your fingers crossed. That's been a hard one to fill for 2 years now, and we're trying.
Is that about taking him out of the process?
Well, he is kind of the parent to the program. Like, he's the father of the program right now. He did it for how many years were you the teacher here?
At least 8.
8. So.
Still teaching.
Actually, this time we should probably call him grandfather of the program, right? No. We did hire back one of our instructional aides. We were very excited to get Danielle back. She had worked for us last year, then she took another job over the summer, and then wasn't going to come back, and we were very thankful that we got her back. Thanks, Misty.
You're welcome.
And there was a lot of recruiting done there by Misty. We hired Destiny as a part-time custodian, and now we have one of our TRC students working as a part-time custodian, Addison Burwell. And then we're going to hire our first co-op student. So we want to hire our own. We want to build that. We've never, I don't know, at least in the last few years, they haven't been using students here on co-op, and I don't understand why. So Josh Herzl out of Northeast is going to be our first part-time maintenance student that's going to go on co-op with us. So it's good stuff. And then we get to the new program discussion. This is kind of the short list we're at right now. Like I said, 3 spaces over the next 5 years. I think we should probably fill 1 at least next year, but possibly, 1 every year till we're full, and get those 3 spaces. We're looking at heavy equipment operation and repair, veterinary tech, dental assistant, logistics, recreational equipment and small engine repair, aviation and aerospace sciences, and then plumbing, HVAC are the difference. Plumbing and HVAC are 2 different SIPs, but we're going to run 1 program under the HVAC SIP is what we were thinking. There actually is 1 missing there, the aspiring educator program we talked about in the last superintendent meeting. One of our superintendents was really thinking we should run that as a remote program where we run the program, but we run it in your districts for kind of, we have early childhood, but then that's like secondary and special ed type focus of recruiting future teachers. So that one we need to add to that list, but those are in discussion right now. We can talk to her blue in the face on what we all think of where it's going to go, but we're going to do some surveys. We're going to take it back to superintendents and see where we go. But that's where we're at.
On the open house for the families and parents on 21st, what time is that supposed to be?
November 21st, we usually start at 5:30 or 6 on that night. November 21st, student open house. Usually it's earlier.
I thought it was
They show
I
up.
think it's 4:30, but I'd have to look. It might be 4:30 to 6:30.
It could be. I mean, you know what it is. I came out here to come correct them, and the apartment was like full at 4 o'clock. People were knocking at the door.
October meeting, we'll know for sure.
Yes.
I think it was like 4:30 to 6:30.
It was earlier. I know it was earlier. I think it might have been
Because
5:07 or 4:30 to 6:30.
I was
I think it's
helping
4:30 to
and
6:30.
And a parent showed up like literally at 6:30, and everybody's leaving, like, and they dragged them down, and it was carpentry, or it was construction trade. And the guy said, it was really strange, because he said, I thought it was supposed to be here at 6:30, and then he looked at us, I guess we're supposed to be here at 4:30.
Yeah.
But
Might have missed the 4:30 to 6:30, 6:30.
yeah,
Well, you think about an open house evening event, you do think 5:36 start. I mean, I don't know. So.
it's basically meet to teach or to do students. They do a good job. It's attended really well.
Yep. Yeah.
The parents want to protect their children are getting into. familiar with it. Where's it back to?
I like to throw some student spotlights in there, just, to highlight a few students. What we have here, Addison Burwell on the left is our TRC student that's now working for us as a custodian. She's working through OVR, just so you guys are aware, that's OVR, then we pay her and OVR pays us to pay her, is that kind of program. Josh is a co-op student that's gonna work for us, although we're working on him being open as well for that OVR program. If you scroll down just a little bit, Melanie Miller on the top right, and then Riley Kinter on the bottom left. We have started a Rotary Interact Club here, and they are kind of leading that charge. They went with the teachers yesterday, myself, to the Rotary meeting. We're working with them on a peace pool project downtown. So it's kind of we're getting that up and running of another student organization with the Rotary Club there. And then we had a couple other students that I threw in there. Danica McChesney is doing really well. She just went out on co-op. She's a precision machining student. She went to the PA Governor School this year. She really is a really top-notch student, so I just highlighted that. And then Ahmad Salem is our Skills USA Vice President, and he's really grown into a good leader for us as a school there. Mike, anything you want to say? Because he's your Skills USA Vice President.
Ahmed does a very good job rallying the kids, getting them excited about what Skills USA is all about. And I agree with Matt, he's definitely grown over the last
He's
year
grown
or so.
into his leadership voice. It's really cool to see. From a shy sophomore to now he's a senior and he's talking in front of 500 kids at our Skills USA pep rally. It's pretty cool. And then renovation report, I think I took it off. It's not a good report, but we no longer have renovation meetings going on. But right now, we've been struggling with the boilers working right. We've been struggling with the alarms working right. So it's not that great to report on, but we're working through it. Frank's been on it, and we're getting some things triage with D&G and Spader to try to get these boilers working appropriately. So if you've heard about anybody complaining, they're all freezing, because the air conditioning works really well.
We needed that more than heat recently, so that's probably good.
We still got another month. Like I said, listen, a month from now, we gotta have this fixed. You gotta get it, they keep locking out, and coding in the system, I don't know, whatever. Frank's on it. Frank is not here because he's receiving diggers and numbers, people out in the back of the parking lot, just so everyone's aware. We got equipment being delivered, he's making sure it's in the right spots, because the last thing we wanna do is for damage the parking lot because they unloaded the wrong spot. He is here. And that's it for my report. Julie, anything I did want to add some things. We talked about solar last year. I forgot to put this in my report. Well, I was actually hoping to have packets for everybody tonight. The solar project is still going. Solar for Schools is pushed out there for funding sources. With the legislation change, we're still looking at that. You take about a 7-acre plot back there to put on and become a zero imprint on the solar, on the energy use for the school is the goal. We're looking at some different funding opportunities. It's going to be about $3 million, but that is something that we are looking at grants. We are looking at the funding coming out. And to me, we're a tech school. Like, we need to be up on the advanced technology. I believe it would save us about, that's the projections that I'm getting, $5 to $8 million over the next 20 years. They say, well, it all depends on this, that, and that, but energy is just going to be going up. So that is still out there, and I'll have packets for you next month for sure, just so you understand what we're talking about there as a project. Again, we're not going to do anything. Obviously, you got to go capital projects for everybody here, unless we get a grant as well. Like, we're not going to do anything unless we get grant funding to kind of cover that side of things. So, but we always, capital projects go through everybody, and back to your districts and so forth. You might have seen a placeholder for secretary job descriptions. We pulled that off. We'll bring that to you guys next month, as we're still working on those exact delineation of responsibilities with adding another secretary to the ranks. We did budget for it prior to the year. It was in the budget, so that we knew we were growing, that was going to be a need for our support staff. So we'll bring that to you next month. We submitted our PCCD grant today, so I don't have that on my board report, the details, but last couple of years, we were in physical security and mental health, and we're still doing those same two things, which what the grant's for. We're doing our struggles of strength, like leadership program that Joe had started, using Premier Education Systems, bringing in a mental health educator to meet with our students monthly. And then most of it was taken up with hiring a school police officer. So all of the gear and the car and everything like that is written into that grant. And then some radios and security phones. So I'll have that listed out in my board report next month. We just finalized that and submitted it today.
If I remember correct, because we're going on the same path with hiring our own officer now. It seems like that's the grant we're actually paying for wages out there, I think. Is that allowable in that one too? Or it really depends on probably how much. Yeah.
It is. But you guys got a lot more money
Is
than
that
we do.
growable? I guess that's the question.
The district's got a lot more money than we did. We got 70,000 over 2 years.
Everybody got a base 100,000, and then it was formulaic after that based on your average daily membership. In terms of what that number was on top of 100,000, you get that number to spend over 2 years, or whatever security or mental health initiative you apply for.
At the district level, career and tech ed and IU's got 70.
I was gonna say you got less.
Yeah, we got less, 70 period, end story, you know, so and we did look at that, and 70 just goes pretty quick, but we got, you know, I have about $20,000 in, maybe 25, actually, I can get it to you next month, but 25,000 in from the SPO for training and the different equipment, you know, we gotta get, and the car, right, so we built that in there, and that took out 25, and then the mental health training is like 29,000, and then we're doing security film on all the windows under 6 feet around the building. We got a lot of windows, and it's, you know, bullet resistant. It's resistant, not, you know, perfect, but it's bullet resistant security film, and then more radios towards our safety radio systems. So that's pretty much takes up the whole grant. But that's what we pushed for. And then last month we had the cosmetology stipend on there, and we tabled it. We pulled that off. We had proposed, I had sat down with the union, proposed some things about alternate rates and so forth, and we're still working through that. They haven't come back with any counter scenario or whatnot. What we're looking at is in our contract, we have curriculum hour rate of $44 an hour for curriculum, and then machine repair relative to their operation of their program. And that's all it had. And I was looking to add, we had already talked with them several times about all the other things, right? Not just say it's curriculum work and machine repair, but if we host, you know, if we had a detention, if someone's gonna be in detention, like regular schools, if you had a tutoring program, if you had run a summer camp, all the extra stuff being built into, you know, that hourly rate, and I was trying to set an alternate rate for like grant projects and like diggers and numbers, you know, paying someone to be here to run THM. Right now, they're just volunteering from their time, but, you know, and we were looking at a lower rate. I proposed it with them, we'll see where it goes, but that Cosmo stipend was in that language of all the other stuff with the lower rate, you know what I mean?
We need to add some things, MOU or something, sounds like.
Well, that's what it would be an MOU if they came to an agreement that, yeah, this is good and here's the rate we would suggest, but the problem with our $44 an hour rate just doesn't play well with any grant writing type projects where it's $44 an hour, but with all the PSERS markup and everything else, it's costing us like $62. You know, writing a grant to run a summer camp at $62 an hour, you know, the personnel cost eats it up, and you have, you know, just eats it up. So, you know, I've talked with several of them, and I said, you know, $25 an hour type rate. You're coming in to run 3-day camp in the summer. That's $175 a day. It's a pretty good chunk of change. 3 days of summer. It's completely voluntary. It's only, you know, basically if we have the funding source for grant project or stuff. But I put that Cosmo stipend into that. So we got supervising the teacher and the Cosmo stipend. Here's what it goes. It's the $25 an hour rate, and then it makes it seem a little bit more amiable than the $44. So all of that is encompassed in that discussion, which, you know, I kind of shot out 2 weeks ago. We met last week. There really wasn't too much discussion on it. They just haven't come back and said anything. So we'll see where that goes. So that's it. That's for my questions?
Anything else on the agenda anybody wants to talk about?
So let's go through the agenda, I should say, yeah, we usually do that. We got several things under important events. We don't really need to talk about meeting events and so forth. We have all the events listed, different dates and stuff, so you have an idea what's going on there. We kind of covered all those with the report of blood drive and everything like that. When you get down to new business, the cell phone reimbursement. So in the past, we had purchased a group of cell phones. Julie had one, the director of facilities had one, old outgoing director Joe had one. We had a custodian with one. We had utility workers had them, and so forth. In the Act 93 agreement, we put that in this year, cell phone reimbursement for versus buying the cell phone. My main purpose behind it is it's $60, $70 a month for the cell phones we were purchasing versus $25 a month for reimbursement. And a lot of people don't want to carry two cell phones, and so that was the idea behind it with the Act 93. And so we ended our contract with Verizon. I mean, we can always buy them back and get them up and running, so it's not like we ended it. But one thing that wasn't covered was the non-Act 93 people that that need one, like our custodians that responds to the back loading dock every day. Our day custodian had a cell phone for that, right? They're out cleaning and we get it delivered to the back dock. When they dial in, it dials to their so forth. With our phone system now, the Avaya phone system, that was part of that phone system. There's an app and everybody can do everything through that app and use their own personal cell phone, but it all shows as their school extension. It all email, text message, everything's their school number, right? So all of our students can text the teacher at the school number through that Avaya app, basically. So, a lot of messaging and communication can happen through that app. And so that's why we're kind of saying, we're asking for reimbursement for just those couple, there's a handful of positions. Co-op coordinator had their own phone, because they travel around. And there's a handful of positions and the school police officer on there, that we would have full-time maintenance, full-time custodian, that's during the day, and then the police officer and so forth to get that cell phone reimbursement. So that's what that was about. Any questions on that? Okay. We got a series of field trips on there. We always did attachment before, so now I was trying to put it into the meat and potatoes of the line item rather than attachments, so we have them listed there where everyone's going. Go ahead, next one. MOA for the classified staff.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Yep. And that was pretty much all the meat and potatoes down to hiring. Do we have any hiring? I think we have several hiring. But, yeah. Some of them are taking people that were on probation to full-time, and those people that I talked about in my board report are all being hired. Resignations are Sandy Carr, effective June 30th of 2025.
If approved.
I would threaten her once.
She's officially going to retire next June, so I know we got a long way till June, but it's kind of sad to see that one up there.
Do you have enough years yet? How many?
I have 28.
35 would be better, wouldn't it?
What'd you say to us last year? You said, well, my financial advisors thinks I should go this year.
Yeah, if you're getting an extra year.
We can find a financial advisor to say something.
As you guys well know, Sandy has done a fabulous job for us. So it's kind of sad to see that up there.
Institutional history that we're going to lose.
Oh, trust me,
Just make more history.
we're trying. The stipends are stipends that we already have in our contract, just so we're clear that it's not the stipend we talked about last month with Cosmo. So the Skills USA, and so forth, so. that's pretty much it.
Fundraising.
We wanna do the, foundation meeting, then we'll go to executive. How's that sound? What's that?
Got a lot on the agenda.
Front and back.
Yeah. All right. All right, let's call the next school foundation meeting to order. 6:37. Can I get a roll call vote? A roll call?
Mr. McManus?
Here.
Mr. Fortin?
Yes.
Dr. Wise?
Here.
Mr. Osmannick? Ms. Brink? Mr. Koblenz?
Here.
Mr. Lindner?
Here.
Mr. Boyd?
Here.
Mr. Ring?
Here.
Mr. Gilbert?
Here.
Mr. Morvay?
Here. All right, 2, no amendments. 3, meeting minutes. Great, we had a foundation meeting on September 26th. I'm sure we looked those over. I get a motion to approve the September 26th meeting minutes.
2.
I'm sorry. June 27th, I was reading on. That's today, isn't it? Yeah. June 27th, all right. Got a motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, financials, Jessica.
Okay, so as of June 30th, 2024, I don't have the endowment statements yet for through August, so I have it through June. The cash on hand is $24,929.34, and the endowment fund has $313,239.07. And we really have not had any much activity yet, but we are having activity soon with all these diggers and dumpers and all these events that are happening. So next week, yeah, there'll be more.
Perfect. All right. Can I get a motion to approve the financial reports?
Moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. And, wow, look at that. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Tim, I just want to acknowledge that I run the fish meeting.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, we have more than what, 2 things?
Okay, let's go for executive. Keep it fishing, get moving.
Collect 200, let's go.
We only have 2 things.
Go to jail, not vandalize.
Forget beating up in public meetings.
Hey, if you wanna make that motion, I won't decline it.
It's called no good deed goes unpunished.
Exactly.
But we do appreciate the 7 or 8 jobs that you have here. Computers are hard, real computers are hard to find. People around that have various kinds of credentials but no practical experience.
It's hard. I mean, you look at what technology managers have to do now that they didn't have to do 5 years ago. I mean, look in this room alone, how much stuff has to work.
It scares me.
Let's call this meeting order so some people can get done, they wanna get done. Moment of silent reflection. Join me for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call, please.
Mr. McManus.
Here.
Mr. Fortin.
Present.
Dr. Wise.
Present.
Mr. Olsanic.
President.
Ms. Brink. Mr. Koblenz.
Present.
Mr. Linder.
Here.
Mr. Boyd.
Here.
Mr. Ring.
Here.
Mr. Gilbert.
Here.
Mr. Morvay.
Here. Just prior to our meeting, we had an executive session for personnel. No amendments, meeting minutes from, August 22nd, 2024.
Motion to approve. Second.
Moved and second, in discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Student accomplishment, no anymore. Anything under important items still? Moving over those.
There's a bunch of dates and stuff happening.
Got no old business, new business. We've got A, B, C, and D is all of those items. Someone like to move all those?
Motion, Boyd. Second, Gilbert.
Moved and second, any discussion or questions on any of those? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Financial items, business manager report.
As of August 31st, 2024, our general fund balance is $3,632,143.95. Our capital project has $3,046,638.39. Student activities funds is at $8,846.04, and our benefits accounts are at $12,502.95. So far, we've received 16% of our revenues and expended 10%.
Can you point me at where our capital projects fund, how much money's left in the building?
Yes, can you open it's 13M. So we did pay out 3 of our contractors, and I think we only have D&G, that we have less than 1% that we have to pay. They are still working on stuff. We have, can you scroll down really quick?
Right there.
Oh, right? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yep, so you can see that we paid 100% to 3 of our contractors.
So we paid Church of Murdoch, Perry, and, Scobell.
They're done.
They're done. I mean, there's still stuff that they're punching through list, but it's really minor stuff. We have a year kind of warranty stuff, so that's covering that. We held D&G based on all the boiler problems, basically. That's the only reason why we're going off of that.
So how much money do we have left besides?
We have, can you scroll down?
Now zoom out a little bit, scroll down to the furniture, equipment, and contingency fund.
we get to 100% on the contractors, that's the, everything except contingency.
Right, contingency and furniture.
Right.
So in contingency, can you scroll more down to the total? I don't have much. We have 117,000 left. And in the furniture fund, we have like $26,000 left. And that includes all the IT stuff in that furniture.
And in the contingency, you don't have the last, we're going to do the gravel lot, you don't have that in there. We're gonna turn half of that.
Now, if
Sure.
did we see a change order? Do we have a change?
No, that's coming.
Yeah, then now we won't be there.
So, yeah, we're gonna take half of this grass lot that's outside of Auto Tech, and we're gonna gravel it, so that all those vehicles in Auto Tech and so forth, and then it gives us extra parking. One of the things was we scale up, is 440 new students, well, 100 more, that'll be X amount more parking that are needed down the road.
Still can. Whoever wins.
You
gets
wanna
the-
take that bulldozer and clear that out, turn it into table?
Load it right up.
Start playing around over there. I that was too much of an ask, I don't know. Yeah, if you wanna clear it off and us get a lower cost on it, I'd be glad to take it down about 4 inches, we'll go. We're only doing half of that yard because of the water drainage, that kind of stuff. That's, you know, we're okay on half of that yard becoming gravel because of that stormwater stuff. Just so.
Thank you very much, that's good, glad we're not negative, and we're still got a little bit of room to finish up the last couple things. Anything else on the treasurer's report? Any other questions for the treasurer or the, no, I guess she's the business manager. So you've got all of the rest of those reports. G would give us an approval of all financial items. So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any other questions? Concerns? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Administrative Services and Human Resources. Do you have anything to add? Then you've got some policies here, provisions. Hiring and transfers, resignation and retirements, stipends. F approves all of these. So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any questions on any of those? Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Ring. Now, on our end for the superintendent, just want to expand on what Matt said about the conversations that we're having about program expansion. The idea that we're really trying to triangulate those three things that will gauge what these next programs are. You know, student interest. Student interest is, there's two parts of that. What do they like and what are they good at? Which are not always the same thing, but sometimes they are. And then that third piece is what's the market? You know, what does that priority list say in terms of where are the jobs? So we try and tile three of those things together and narrow that list down to the three things over 5 years that we'll kind of prioritize. And that's an ongoing conversation, I would say, but we're at a good point with it now. And I know you saw on there, I just wanted to let you know from the district level, I know you saw in there in November that the 9th graders are coming. That conversation really starts now at the building level, because there's really three parts to that conversation too. You know, with any good storytelling, you're going to tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and then you tell them what you just told them. So that's what we do with kids. We tell them what they're going to see when they come here. You know, kind of prepare them for what they're going to see and what it's going to look like for them. They see it, and then we tell them what they just told them, what that means. We gauge interest. We have follow-up conversations. So when we talk about an increased enrollment here over time, that's really an important part of it because they do such a good job here at hosting those 9th graders. Then when we have the follow-up conversations on our end, you can really target kids and determine areas of interest and help them find the right spots here. So, like I said, even though that happens in November, it's really starting now at the building level.
In the whole chapter 339 process of the career portfolios of third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, I think those are like, we're 4 or 5 years down the road. Those conversations have driven
Oh,
a lot more kids to look in different ways at where they're headed a little earlier. So,
Even just the visit we use as 339 evidence. You know, we survey the kids as soon as they come back. That's an artifact for them. And then it helps our counselors target which are, you know, where they're gonna extend those conversations. So that's all I got. Thanks.
How would you, to expand a little bit more on what you expanded on, what Matt said, as far as superintendents, is there openness across the board for 3 more programs over 5 years?
I think
I know there was some concerns about.
I think people like talking about what the 3 programs could be in terms of how we're gonna budget that. That's a different conversation
Okay.
too. But yes, there's definite interest in, I mean, we've seen the popularity of what's happened here since the renovation and the quality of the programming here. So I don't think that's a question at all. It's just a question of how we're gonna pay for that to get there. But yeah, I think there's a definite interest in expansion for sure.
the pay for it is 2 sides of things. We've been putting $250,000 aside in our annual budget. They did that since 2020 here for expansion. And then the second thing is then the increased enrollment is an increased burden locally on your, with the 3-year averaging, those numbers going up, which costs you then that 8,000 and whatever odd dollars of tuition, X amount more time. So that's the juggling act on that financial side.
So how much does a bulldozer cost?
A lot of money. So when we talk that, I've been fully transparent that a heavy equipment program, we're gonna start on the repair. We're gonna start with that, we start with the repair first and foremost. And we're looking at, Venango has a heavy equipment repair program that's based on the repair. Because when you look at that municipal, we go back to that now, there's a lot of equipment for sale on there that's kind of heavy equipment that you can get on, you know, for example, we got the car, it was a 19,000, 18,500 or whatever, Blue Kelly Blue Book. We got it for, you know, 8,900 because it's on municipal. It's coming out of Allison Park, which is a very nice suburb of Pittsburgh, and they're upgrading. It's only a 2020 and they're getting a new fleet, right? And so if you do look on that, you have bulldozers, you have backhoes, you have some things that are older that are on there for 20,000 versus 100,000 or even more for new stuff.
But they don't run, so you gotta fix them first.
Which is why we're focusing on the repair set first and foremost. But yes, that's,
How do you drag this some junk even more down at home?
yeah, and that's where you start, right? When I had the conversation, well, basically, the lift of that one's different than the other programs we started, where it's an extra $100,000 on the equipment side to build that program up, basically annually. And then, you know, maybe 5 years goes by and we don't need that $100,000 in the budget anymore. You know, you're getting one new nice piece of equipment, maybe start smaller with skid steers and, you know, a smaller mini excavator, then you build that up over time. We have the space, we have 147 acres. We don't disturb past, you know, the parking lot. We don't ever touch that. I mean, we just have guys come and park here and then walk across with their guns that go hunting that are, you know, SPO officer has to say, no! But yeah, we don't touch that back 137 acres.
Do people donate their own bulldozer? They give you a bulldozer?
That's part of the conversation that we're hoping to have with Bucher. Like, okay, how do we up this? And you know, maybe that's, like Mark said, I got some old stuff, you know, fix it, bring it to you. The other thing is lease to buy. So lease to buy program is how one of the other schools in the eastern side of the state that I'm thinking about trying to go visit, they have a really great program. They started it in '97, and how did we start? We started lease to buy. So we knew we were budgeting to have, you know, whatever, $10,000 to have this equipment, that equipment, and over 5 years, then we were able to then pull off purchasing it because we invested 5 years into half the price, right? And then they worked that out. So all of that is part of that discussion. Heavy equipment is the lift of equipment. Dental assistant is another one that's a very expensive upfront cost for equipment. Some of the other ones, maybe not so much. So
I'm intrigued with the comment somebody made there about enrolled here but would stay back in their home district. If there were any other programs that that's intriguing to me.
That's the rising educators, aspiring educators, whatever you wanna call it. That's that new zip code of education for programming. And everyone's interested because of the shortage of teachers. So when we bring the data we collected to you guys next Friday, that's gonna be blaring to say, oh my gosh, right? So we run it as a career and tech ed program, pretty much run it under us as a career and tech ed. We get the teacher in place, but it's a remote program. You give us a classroom in Northwestern, a classroom here, we could scale that sucker up pretty high, and so forth. But yeah, maybe that's even a program that locally, because you have interest, I look at No Creek because of their size, you just go and do it on your own type scenario potentially. Again, we have that in our Arbors agreement, the non-compete, so how does that all play into, is another discussion.
I guess my question is, are there other possibilities of programs that could be, if they're zooming in remote, if you've got to put a teacher in that classroom in each one of our districts with a few students, if you were running 3 programs, one teacher could oversee them when the teacher of record would be here doing it remotely. That intrigues me to even think about that.
Yeah, the remote thing really wasn't what we were looking at. We were looking at where we use a classroom in the school to run that program with one teacher, and everyone kind of sends to that one teacher for that secondary side of things, the secondary end side. We have the early childhood here, but now we have this
So
secondary.
you're not looking at, that's not my misunderstanding.
Yeah, that's not, the remote part of it is, it's not located on this campus. It's out in one of the districts. We looked at that program, got all the information of another CTC that started that program. PD just rolled out that SIP like a year and a half ago, encouraged that program a year and a half ago because it's one of their answers to the shortage, right? And so a few districts, or few CTCs in their districts said, yeah, we want that, and how they did it. So we got that information last fall from one of the Westmoreland's career centers. How they did it, they pretty much just said, hey, we've got a school 5 miles down in Rutherford, and we just arranged transportation to be dropped here, and then they would swing by and drop it at that school before they had it back. Whether we put that.
I misunderstood. I thought we were do something here, housing in everybody's location. So the interesting thing about that is if students didn't have to travel, that's been, right, Dennis, it's been one of the long-term problems is when half day, all day from our districts that aren't local, that's a long commute.
Yes.
So you take that, if you can have a student stay there, then they can participate in a lot more of the homeschool, but yet still participate in the program here. I totally misunderstood that, so never mind.
Well, it's okay, but that is a viable option to add, but to me, that's adding that program, not one of the 3 spaces, right? So that's, and Crawford County, they just bought, there was an empty shop that they were selling, it was an auto tech shop, and they just bought that shop and then moved all their auto tech stuff over to that, so they could expand other shops, at their site. And it's I don't know exactly how far, a half mile or a mile away from the school, so it wasn't too bad of like it's dropped stuff, main school, then swing by that school, then back, you know what I mean, for transportation purposes. So that's the other option, down the road if you want to expand farther is, other buildings that something goes out of business, it's for sale, it's set up for auto, or it's set up for, machining or something like that. We go that route to purchase that.
State police will be down with a really nice building there. If we just send them back to where they came from, we could take over that.
That's a huge building. It'll be 4 more years.
Bigger.
It'll be 4 more years till it's done, I believe.
You can have parking under roof.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
The
Solar
scraper window.
panels, we should do that all. Yeah.
Okay, solicitor's report.
No news, but it sounds like we're gonna move forward with Erie County, or Erie Community College, at least.
We're working on it, yeah, we're working on it. We met with them last week, we had a great conversation with them. One of the changes, Tim, that you don't know, is building in personnel. So we're gonna build into that lease 0.15 of Frank, 0.5 of the maintenance person, and 1.0 of a custodian person, so that's one of the things I'm gonna come back to eventually, we're giving them the numbers and seeing how they, yeah, so instead of them, the way it was before, they were responsible for their own cleaning, their own this, their own that, SBO, all that kind of stuff. Joe wanted that to happen that way. I said, no, let's use our personnel, cover that, and potentially, you know, yeah, we have the 8% markup on it, and it's our person that does their stuff too, so.
Matt, earlier in your report, you mentioned that we would be giving up half that building.
Mm-hmm.
Does that hinder you in any future plans? I mean, you had mentioned.
I mean,
in
if
the
you
past-
guys wanna add 10 programs, we'll tell
Well,
you
you had
to
mentioned
go
in the
buy.
past about utilizing that building.
Yeah, so we have reserved half of that building, and that's where I say we have 2 spaces over there, the whole warehouse space, and half the classrooms and second floor. And to clarify, just so everyone knows, because the RCI is a very, very popular program, that is not going away. Apparently that was a rumor coming through Fairview that went to Brad Whitman, he called me earlier this week. We have totally X'd out Tuesday, Thursday, 8 to noon, RCI is still going on, you know, with that lease as well. So we're not taking that away, just so we're clear.
Originally, Steve, we were talking about potentially the whole building would be theirs. So that's what he's pulled that back and said, no, we're gonna keep half for future expansion.
Yeah, so when I say half, that's just a
Originally, we were looking at selling.
sell.
Right.
And you're crazy to sell.
Right.
And I have a young man that was presented to our staff, we talked about, we still have 147 acres. And one of the things another CTC has done was where they just started with their kids building a house over 2 years, and then they sell off that lot. Build a house and sell off that lot. They get, you know, that kind of stuff. Those are still things, they're ideas that are floating out there potentially for our 147 acres down the road. And I know Fort LaBeouf would be very happy if we added more sold off lots.
And it's unique here
Well,
because
the
we
conservatory,
teach
I
you
told
do
you,
that and not
land
affect.
conservatory like a
You
George.
keep the majority of that, do lots just on that.
1 acre. Yeah, 0.75 type lot, build a nice house, our kids build it, they get that whole experience of working with skilled trades. So that to me is 3 to 5 years down the road as well.
I was just concerned,
But yeah,
you know, about, you know, is half enough? Or, you know, I mean, you had mentioned at one point possibly if our welding class kept growing and growing, all right, do we move welding all the way over there into their own building? And then
Well-
open up the weld shop here for other things?
with the disarray that's the condition of that building now, let's let EC3 sink money and go after grants in partnership with us to go make that better. And if we're gonna expand past those 3, to me, we're gonna put up like shops, like more building shops out here. You know, I've gotten some price on, I looked at that, I know I talked to Steve a little bit about that in a phone call. To me, that's the way we expand more is we put up like that shop-like feel. It's not as expensive as a brick building build. And then we put two programs out in that shop. So we take electrical out there, we take facility maintenance out there, and then beside it here, then becomes the second weld shop. That's the best layout in terms of that, getting a second
I
weld
wanna
shop.
hear regrets, you know, 5 years down the road after we signed a 10-year lease.
No, to me, that's the right thing to dress the shape that that's building in. We need other revenue stream, let's put it that way.
I think that's a strategic partnership to give it, the price you're paying is giving up use of half.
And then
to
they're
bring
gonna
a
get
strategic partnership.
some funding that's flowing through the state for community colleges. The state is investing in those models. They're gonna get that funding, and that's what's gonna help us make that building more viable. We may have a lift where, okay, because we're having X amount of square footage of the building, it's not quite 50-50. I think we're giving them a little more, but that all goes into that whole, how do we make that building, I mean, that needs a renovation over there too. And we're not gonna get that from these 11, because you guys have invested a crap load already, right? So it's like, that to me is the answer of that money that's flowing through community colleges and that whole model that EC3 is working on, that to me is how we.
Is that something the home districts will have to vote on, or is that just something that you?
It'll have to come,
It's a lease,
the lease, but when they go after the grant to do renovation on that building,
they do renovation.
we will have to pass that back through all capital projects. Cause that's the idea though, then they're looking to add more building shop-like things too, through their funding, but understand at the end of 25 years, we own it. At the end of that lease, whether we end it earlier than 25 or not,
There, all this money winds up here on our dirt.
boom, yep, yeah, I mean,
And
that's
we can
ours.
see it, that's a strategic partnership with
It's,
them.
you know, it's ECTS at Summit, and they're going to go after the partnership grants, which we're gonna be part of that partnership. But they're gonna go after the grants to expand that out, that footprint, but again, it's our property, it's a lease, and at the end of 20 or 25 years, it's not EC3's property. Now, the equipment inside, yeah, they can take that out, but the structure's ours. So, to me, that's the smartest.
So how do we segment the building? Will they be there at the same time our students?
Yes.
How do we keep that separation between two
They
populations?
already are there in the afternoon, same time as our students. Which we have the TRC over there. And then we had, during the renovation, 4 programs over there. So, yeah.
And you have RCI over
Now, they come in at 3 o'clock, they come in at noon now. You know, they opened up a second, they were coming in like 3 or 4, and just going next.
You've got separate areas, I know what you're
I mean,
thinking.
we have some type of access control segregation of the building. We don't have intermingling of EC3 students and tech school students. That's not a possibility.
That's not,
And
I
it's
mean-
basically separate entrances. It's 2 structures in one building.
it's not separate entrances. However, they do have access to the back entrance, and that's where most of them come in. But they could buzz in from, but they still control, they gotta buzz in from us, just like our students in RCI buzz in through us to go up to the second floor of all the college classes.
They have food over there too, they have a reception. Drinks and
There's been a common area there, and there was vending machines and so forth. Those vending machines are all gone. That contract with who we had providers ended, and now there's nothing over there. But they still can sit there and have common area and right there in that lobby over there. But
For having their students and our students rub up against each other isn't necessarily a bad thing.
no, we already have in our bylaws and policies,
As long as it's, controlled.
as long as it's controlled. Yeah,
So
they're under
it's
supervision at all times. Their instructor knows that he's there with their kids' arrival and greeting them and so forth, he's responsible. So, and we already have in our policies where an adult ed student come into one of our day programs. I don't know if you guys know that, if we have open seats and we vet the person out and so forth, we could take a 19-year-old or 20-year-old and fill seats in our day program. Currently, that's in your policies already, I don't know if you guys knew that. You know that?
Yeah, but we're vetting the student. We have no vetting control over who the ECC student is, what their background is.
Well, we can ask for all that if we want to do that. Right now, we haven't asked for that information. But coming into our building, we could ask for all that to happen. We want everyone to get volunteer clearances, that's something we can totally ask as part of the lift of running a program.
I think
We have
keep that,
their staff members, they've shared their clearances with us.
Staff. We would want to see the clearances of the staff. I'm
Yeah.
Sure. Students.
I mean, in order to be there in that program, to make them get volunteer clearances, to be there, we could do that. I mean, it would be there's no cost of volunteer clearance, it would be an extra protection for us if we wanted to do that.
I think it's something to keep your eyes on it, just as that way. As you're negotiating that, I think it's something we wanna, we've had conversations for the past 10 years.
About that.
Yeah, just
Overlapping
running,
there. See how much mingling there really
Yeah.
is.
Is there much, what do we have to think about?
No, right now, they do arrive, they do arrive, we've opened up for them to have an afternoon cohort. They do arrive at noon, our kids arrive at noon. But once they go into that welding lab's all self-contained, that's the only class they have any coverage in. So they're always there. But we could also look in the renovation side of things and say, okay, these are the designated EC3 entrances, and we are gonna then cut off hallway connection. Right now, there is a shared restroom over there. You know, there's restrooms within our TRC, but there's also a couple, gang open restrooms that are over there that.
That'd be something that maybe discuss as two separate entities could solve 90% of the.
And in renovations, maybe they have a separate restroom area too.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, that can be shared with the RCI, they're all high school students. But then,
Yeah, RCI's high school students are, they're there 8 to noon.
Right.
Right now, EC3's there.
but EC3 is gonna want, they're gonna want to
Noon to
spend
9.
mornings too.
They have asked that,
Right.
and we
That's
said
gonna
no
come.
at this point,
Yeah.
you know. And the idea was our afternoons are older kids, they're the 17, 18-year-old kids versus the 15, 16. That was the idea behind some of that.
I don't think the code make restrooms such
Long-term leases, as
Correct.
renovations are made, the end product is two separate buildings within the structure. I mean, if we're gonna put more programs over there, and they're gonna have morning programs, our due diligence is to say, this is our controlled space, this is their controlled space, and the two should have only mingling upon desired outcome.
Well, that's one of the things that is happening. They've taken away all those vending machines, and our TRC has that cafe service. So they have proposed to run cafe service for like the RCI students, as well as the EC3 students, but that's under supervision of personnel the whole entire time.
I think that's great, I think that's your, again, that makes sense, I think it's the bathrooms and something.
It's the bathroom.
Right, and that's probably gonna have time frames that can be open all the time. It's gonna be,
With the TRC, it's not a problem, because they have their own bathrooms within their own program. If we put 2 other programs on there, that's where it could become a problem, because they would use the restrooms, like, they have 2 restrooms on the second floor, 2 restrooms on the first floor. They would use, maybe we could take the second floor out, just and give the first floor AC3.
I think it's a good idea, I just think there's a lot of other liability, like how is the communication for lockdowns? What is the communication when there's a threat, being able to threat management from their side? We're sharing a higher end space with the high school space. They operate very differently with how they engage scenarios, and we need to be very clear as to how that is going to work.
yep, anything else on solicitor's report?
No, that
This
was.
is all yours. Sorry, brother. Approval of report section. Motion.
Second.
Moved and second, any other discussion?
Yeah, I was just wanting to clarify, Eric, make sure, they call 811 on this big duck thing.
Yes,
Okay, you answered it correctly.
18 times.
Every
we definitely have, yes.
Okay, good, because I never had such, but my daughter and son never had such bad experience. She works with PennDOT in Big and Gerard. There's nothing there. You know what they did? Hit a water main. There's nothing there. Sewer main.
Did they call 811 too?
Oh, they had no call. They didn't even, they were not marked. And my son out northeast had a main gas going through his backyard, and they didn't even know it was there. They hit it. It was, they called it 811, and you cannot believe underground stuff is all over the world. And you just cover yourself by calling 811. You can hit it now. Go ahead and hit it. If they hit it, well, you told us it's clear.
Yep. Good question. Any other discussion?
It just scares me because I cannot believe how many personal experiences in non-marked laws.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We've got supplementals there, and there is a motion somewhere here on one of these pages. Here we go. Fundraising.
Sam, I have a
14.
question on, our secondary, are we gonna get our enrollment report?
Yes, we'll get it sent out. I'm not sure why that was. We actually talked about it yesterday in our admin meeting, and I thought they were gonna send it, you corrected me.
My board loves that info.
Okay, I already actually sent the email after you said it, so we will get that. Mike, did you get my email
I
already?
saw the email.
You saw the email. Yeah. I know we were having a problem with I thought it was fixed, but they were saying we weren't getting the data report cracked out of Infinite Campus and so forth. But yesterday, they told me they'd have it here, but we'll get it sent to you.
10 o'clock, Mike. No more 8 o'clock. Stay till 10.
I was having somebody cover my class tomorrow.
Fundraising. So Somebody make that motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. You gonna show us what it is?
Yeah, food,
I looked at that one.
just the normal stuff they're
Yeah,
already doing.
yeah, it was pretty, that was pretty neat. I said, well, that's neat.
It's the normal stuff they're already doing, and they just didn't get it approved.
So now it's gonna be approved. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay, adjourn?
Motion.
Second. All those in favor, leave. Aye.
So on their food stuff, how did they have a competition selling their food or something? Same stuff or what?
Absolutely.
No,
They
they
coordinate.
coordinate.
That stuff over there, it's like fun stuff.
They're sister programs and they coordinate.